Free Media Online. Professor Ungar, this is for you. Did you know that the first chief VOA news writer and editor was Howard Fast, who in 1953 received the Stalin Peace Prize and was a Communist Party activist and journalist? Do you want to weigh in on that?
Well, I've heard this before. I suppose it's true if somebody has checked this out. You know, there were people. This is a kind of McCarthyite question, if you ask me. Should we discredit someone retroactively because of something that he did at another time in his career? He was not a communist agent in the Voice of America, and there was nothing to suspect there were communist agents there. He went on. He went on to do some other things, and his political views moved in a certain direction. I mean, there are people, if we go that route, there are people available to be investigated now who have done things in terms of white supremacy and terrorism in this country, who would not necessarily survive some of that investigation, especially because of some of the things that happened in the last administration. So So I mean, it might amuse someone to say that someone who worked at VOA in the 40s or the 50s later won the Stalin Peace Prize. Well,
I wtedy nawet córka Harrimana odszczekała zupełnie to, co ona przedtem powiedziała.
Tak, ją swego czasu wzięto do Katynia, pokazano Katyń i ona potem publicznie oświadczyła, że nie ulega wątpliwości, że zrobili to Niemcy.
No proszę pana, tylko to mógłbym panu odpowiedzieć, co pan teraz powiedział. Tak, proszę pana,
W owym czasie wyrządziła wielką szkodę tak Polakom, jak Stanom Zjednoczonym. Tuszowanie prawdy.
Wszyscy tuszowali prawdę. Niech pan pomyśli, że Churchill doskonale o tym wiedział, że...
Prize. Well, maybe they had bad judgment in giving him the Stalin Peace Prize. Maybe
he also in his memoirs renounced communism and felt he was due.
Of course he did.
But he was quite he was one of the authors who was purged during the McCarthyite.
Of course, yes. Yes.
But it's quite true that this was part of the problem that during the 1940s, journalism was a profession that had many left-wing people involved. And the Voice of America, or the US government, had to work out the best way to manage its news organization. Organization, and during the war, I think there was we would now accept that there was way too indulgent an attitude taken towards journalists were allowed to be politically freewheeling, and some and some really stupid things were said on the air.
Oh,
the most
yes.
famous is that a VOA journalist broadcaster called the King of Italy a moronic little king. King, and that didn't help U.S. diplomacy at that particular moment, and it was not a particularly it was sort of editorializing in an unhelpful way, or repeating an editorial in an unhelpful way. There's a balance. Not everything that a journalist thinks belongs on the air, and not everything that a government thinks belongs in journalism.
It's also worth pointing out that the New York Times correspondent in the Soviet Union in the 1930s, a man named Walter Duranty,
yes.
A biography has been written about him called Stalin's Apologist.
Yes,
he was duped. Duped into thinking that, I mean, it's quite relevant today. He was duped into thinking that Stalin was doing wonderful progressive things in the Ukraine when he was killing millions of people with a forced famine. He's had his Pulitzer Prize revoked, I believe.
Yes. Yes.
Which he was given for his reporting in the Soviet Union at the time. Mm-hmm. Of course, there are mistakes, and there are people who change their minds, and there are plenty in the other direction as well.
Yes. So, Sandy, if you could also throw in the impression of the state of press freedom back then and now as it pertains to Africa as well.
The state of press freedom in the world today is very much endangered. I'm very worried about it. There's so many people. I'm worried about it in this country as well, by the way. I think that there are forces that could come to power in this country who do not understand the role of free media or understand it too well and want to suppress them. And that's why I have the Free Speech Project at Georgetown, to try to fight for First Amendment values in this country.